V platform. Can we talk about what the future trajectory or the fundamentals of SPVs and how integral they are to the tokenization of real-world assets?
You know, eventually we will get to where you can tokenize the asset itself on the blockchain. You'll have a digital title that's representative of that. You'll have an NFT, right, that's your digital title, and you can fractionalize ownership. So it's a financial product. You own the underlying asset inside of this corporation or this structured product, and then it's a securities offering. And we know that we're going to have tokenized securities, right? So SPVs are going to play an integral role. You don't want to necessarily have to deal with the asset. Like, if you bought a piece of property, do you want to be the one managing it? Maybe you do, but most likely you're looking for passive income, right? So there's some other intermediary, a third-party custodian, somebody that holds that asset, but you might not have $1 million, $5 million, $10 million to buy or pay and participate in a large REIT or, you know, Grant Cardone's fund or a lot of these other opportunities that are out there. He moved to a Reg A so that more people could participate, right? SPVs democratize access to stuff. And if you were to, you know, create a corporation that owns the underlying asset, it's a special purpose vehicle, by the way. The reason it's a special purpose vehicle is it's for the ownership of one investment. Like, you're making a specific investment in a certain thing, and then people can own shares of the company that owns that underlying asset. I think that we're going to see derivatives of the underlying asset before we see the tokenization of the underlying asset. Until we get full clarity from Congress where, like, these NFTs and digital titles are representative of ownership. I tried to do a car app. Didn't work out because there's no regulation around that. So what we do at Syndicate Lee is we do end-to-end fund administration for these SPVs. We have a amendment in the PPM and the operating agreement that allows us to tokenize these SPVs. And over the duration, I think that people will first start lending against private equity or the shares in these companies that own the underlying asset, and they'll be able to underwrite the risk that way. And then over the long term, I think you'll have private markets that operate very similar to public markets today. There'll be deep liquidity. You'll have a privatized DTCC that allows settlement between all of these things, fractional ownership where you can invest $1,000 or $5,000 and start getting revenue off of whatever's produced by the underlying asset. And that's the cool part, right? Like, they're starting tokenization with all of these things that are already extremely liquid. We went to the Ondo Summit and they talked about, you know, they're not looking at creating more liquidity for these assets, but democratizing access to them, which makes a lot of sense because that's another benefit of this technology. But over the next 3 to 5 years, I think we could see up to 80% of the economy tokenized and brought on chain, and that's going to provide a lot of liquidity for real estate or private equity or many of the things that you invest in today that are illiquid for an extended period of time. And I think the main vehicle for that are going to be SPVs.